So here are the 5 key steps to successful trading, okay, to high performance trading. You need to learn a winning trading strategy. That's important. And as we mentioned earlier, it's very important that you have something which is repeatable, something that you're comfortable with. You know, there's no point you taking, 150 trades a day when that doesn't suit your personality. And we'll speak about that, because one of the things that we do here before you kind of join us is we do a risk profile test to see what categories that you fall into. And I'm going to go through those categories as well, just to give you an idea of what, the 4 categories that we've defined, to give you an idea, and you can have a think to see where you would actually fall under. You need to practice it and become a master of it. Okay, you need to know it inside out. And this is what we just mentioned. You need to learn your psychological makeup. Okay, what type of trader are you going to be? Are you going to be a patient trader, somebody who can wait for their setup to happen in weeks? Are you somebody that needs to be in and out? Those are the kind of things you need to know. You could have all the correct elements of trading, but unfortunately, if you don't trade that in a way that suits your personality, then you're going to really struggle to succeed. And of course, sometimes where people are working, haven't got a lot of choice, and you've got to slightly adapt your personality mindset and find ways to actually say, well, this is the time I have, this is my kind of psychological makeup, this is how I'm going to find a way to actually be able to trade. Risk management is absolutely key. For me, this is probably the most important, because even if you have a very good winning strategy, it only takes one trade to blow your account up. So you've got to make sure you are just strict with this. Okay, in worst case scenario, you have a bad day, but it's limited to the amount of risk that you've set. What I'd recommend with any broker that you use, guys, I'm not sure who you use, but you can do that with most brokers, is call them up and tell them the maximum amount that you want to lose per day. Okay, and what will happen is, if you reach that level, it will automatically liquidate your positions. Okay, so what that basically means is that even if you're having one of those nightmare days where you want to just continue trading when you shouldn't, especially if you're trading from home, get your broker and just get your it's almost a bit embarrassing or annoying when you want to carry on trading, but your positions get liquidated, you can't trade anymore for that day, you've got no choice, but you'd have to send them a fax, and it's a long process, and by that point you kind of got over it and you just accept that you just had one of those days, and that might just help you, push you through, say, right, okay, I've had a bad day, but you know what, I can recover tomorrow, because I'll get over this emotional sort of roller coaster that I'm in right now. Okay, so I'd really recommend that you do that. Okay, hold on, I've just got a couple of questions. Perfect. So James, you're saying, okay, fine, you've got free download, always matches your broker feed, great. Okay, and Alfred, you're asking me about Ultimate for trading software. Not heard of it actually. I'm not sure if any of the guys on this call have I've heard of it. I've not heard of Ultimate for trading software. What does it do? It's not an automated software, is it? Is it a charting, something you can chart with? Oh, eSignal. Okay, yeah, I have used eSignal, James. I do prefer TradeStation, if I'm honest, but it's kind of, I think it's just something, it's just a preference. But yeah, eSignal. Just found sometimes with eSignal, they were getting a few gaps in their data. Right, it's an automated software. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure, if I'm honest with you. But if you're, okay, so Alfred, you've only been training for a year. I'll just be a bit wary of those kind of systems. Just depends what you're looking for, really. If you're looking to become a professional trader, I wouldn't recommend those kind of systems. Not at least until you've kind of got the education that you need before you go down that road and trust somebody else with your money. Okay, because the problem is, if you give your money over to somebody else, you're entrusting them, and ultimately, if something goes wrong, it's your responsibility, but you've had no control over it. And finally, your belief system. Okay, for me, again, this is one of the key things that I consistently work on for myself. You've got to, it's so important. And it sounds a little bit kind of hocus pocus in the sense that, belief system, but what it is like, if you don't if you don't believe something's going to happen, your approach to it is not going to be in a way that is going to be of somebody who's going to be successful. Okay, it's not the whole, positivity. It's not just about thinking positive. It's just really ultimately deep rooted. What do you believe is possible? If imagine you had like an underlying belief that making money was hard. Imagine that was something that was like embedded in you from childhood, maybe from a young age, or something that you heard at home, and it became a belief that maybe you're not even aware of. Do you think it's going to be easy for you to then go and trade the financial markets and then become a winning trader? Yeah, clearly not. So it's really important that you consistently work on your belief system. Now, you don't need to go back and study what your beliefs are, but you need to have a method to overcome any kind of sabotaging that goes on a lot in trading as well. And one of the things that I'd recommend is accountability. So that's why I mentioned before, find someone to work with, or of course, we do kind of have desks here as well, so if that's something that you're interested in. The other thing is, you can sign up to something like the virtual floor if you want to be a day trader. Now, that's not perfect in terms of accountability, because you can still ultimately cheat yourself. Okay, or find a friend that you can trade with, someone who trades similarly to you, and you can maybe sort of work together or Skype. But it's really important that you sort of do the right things when you need to, because just at the moment where you might actually do something that's part of your belief system to sabotage what you've done, if you've got some accountability there, you're going to refrain from doing that. The other thing, as I mentioned earlier, is tell your broker the maximum amount that you want to lose, not that you want to lose, but that you're willing to lose every day. That's another key thing. Make sure you write these things down, guys, if they're helpful, because these are you need to have these elements, these core elements, to stop you essentially living out your beliefs. Now, of course, if your belief system is positive and everything, you believe that anything is possible, then you don't really have a lot to worry about. And if you're already having success in trading, then it's kind of like you're trying to take it to the next level. How can I get even better than this? How can I even improve my belief system to beyond this? Everyone, does that make sense? Just type in a Y. Any questions? Type in a Y if that makes sense, or N if it doesn't, and I can just go through that again. And I'm seeing sort of a lot of the same people sort of reply. And guys, if you haven't said, responded yet, just type in Y. It will help you. I promise you, if you participate, often the ones that participate get the most value out of these kind of events. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Yeah, it looks like a few more just typing in. Yes, brilliant. Okay, Charles. Okay. Charles, are you okay for me to read that out? I can, if you're okay with me to, I'll just wait for you to answer that. If you're okay for me to read that out, and I can. Okay, brilliant. So Charles just said, I've faced 3 times a drawdown of 20% this year, 1% risk per trade. I feel stuck and unable to stop trading. When this happened, I trade much more and spend much more time on my screen. Interestingly, my best monthly performances are negatively correlated with the volume trade. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, and this is why these are the things that's why I'm saying to you to put these kind of things in place. You've had 20% in the year. Okay, fine. And that's not. But it's finding those moments when you're in that phase where it's going to become a 20% drawdown. You probably could pick it up a lot quicker than what you have, right? I mean, I don't know why. I mean, you mentioned 20%. I don't know if that's your maximum, and that's where you end up stopping. But I'm guessing that you probably saw before it happened times when you were trying to maybe chasing the markets, and you weren't, like you just said there, you didn't stop trading when you probably could have. So think about this, Charles. What are you going to do next time? It's probably inevitable. You're going to face that moment again. If you don't already do it, kind of go back through your trade journal. If you keep in trade, if you're not, then that's a good process to start, and start to pick up signs of when you get into that phase where when you've got that drawdown and you're over trading, and then just put something into place. One of these things that we've spoken about, something that's going to stop you. reduce your drawdown, for example, or something that's going to remind you, sometimes like even things like post-its on your desk, or something that it will trigger you, because I'm sure you're probably very logical a lot of the time, and then you go through a moment where you're emotional. You need to have something there that's going to just trigger your brain, and maybe that has an impact on you, and says, when you do this, this is the result of it, and have a benefit of you not doing that. Because clearly you could probably see that there's going to be a benefit if you can stop yourself. Yeah, very interesting. So Charles, that's probably about your okay, you don't have a maximum fight. So Charles says it's when my plan starts to not work after a few trades. Okay, and that's perfect. I mean that you're saying that, because, and if I'm honest, what that probably is you said you've been trading for a while, I think. Yeah, you mentioned I think you've been training for a while. Normally 4 years, okay, fine. You're a little bit newer than some of the other guys here. It's probably your system. You probably don't 100% believe in it just yet. Okay, you're probably very close. But but if you believed 100% in that system, you would carry on taking those trades. And actually probably, I don't know if you're not executing them properly or over trading them, but it's normally because you haven't traded enough. For example, like myself, I've seen my setup so many times that even if I have a couple of losing trades or 3 losing trades, I won't ever deviate from that system, because I believe in it 150%. Obviously 150% doesn't exist, but 100%. I have absolute faith in that system. So a couple of losing trades, 3 losing trades, 4 losing trades. Now obviously if you're getting continuous losing trades, you've got to stop and analyze what's going on. Are you executing properly? Are you taking the trades, but are you putting the right stops? Because if you're doing the setups correctly, they should be working. And you have to know how often does that system work. Is it a 5 out of 10 kind of system, with a risk reward of 2 to 1? Is it a 8 out of 10 system? Because that's going to be a point where you've got to, it's important to review your journal, review your trade plan. And if it's something that needs tweaking because something's, the volatility is increased in the markets, or something's changed in the markets, and obviously at that point you can adapt. But don't deviate from your trade plan, if it's very, if it's structured and something that you've worked on for a few years. Charles, does that make sense? And if anybody else wants to kind of input, I'm happy to read them out. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing the right things. The fact that you've got those stats, I can definitely say to you, you're definitely on the right path. You just need to have a little bit more faith with your trades, and just try and pinpoint where you can improve what you're doing. And it often is. It seems like you're quite analytical, so that's good. I'll go back and you must be keeping a trade journal, I assume. So and if you're not, start doing that, and make it as detailed as possible so that you can get in the moment of when you were taking those trades, to see where you can improve. Because I study my journal once a week normally. I'd like to do it daily, but just in terms of time, I like to do it once a week. And I'm always identifying something, things that systems that are working better now than other times, and therefore when the setup comes up, I can sort of go put my 0.5% on, and then other things that are not working as well in the environment, I'll just reduce the size. Or it might be when I for example when I'm tired, I don't trade as well. So again, if you feel yourself tired, and then you can obviously reduce your size, or just decide not to trade at all. So there's just things like that you can sort of implement. Perfect. Great, Charles. Thanks for that.